This is Nurcan Akaltun's work.
I prefer tea, coffee, to, than. 2. I'd rather speak to him in person, discuss things over the phone. 2. Than. Than. I don't fancy the theatre again. I'd rather to the cinema. Go, going. Although I love relaxing on beaches, I think I prefer in the mountains. Walk, walking. I prefer to drink tea, drink coffee. 2. Than. 2. My husband would rather have lunch inside, but I'd prefer outside in the garden. To eat, eat. I prefer coffee, tea. 2. Than. 2. I would rather French than Spanish. Learn, to learn. I would prefer dinner late tonight. Have, to have. Would you rather a car or a motorcycle? Drive, to drive. She would rather with her parents than alone. Live, to live. Would you prefer in or go out? Stay, to stay. Would you rather dinner or go out to a restaurant? Make, to make. I would rather a house. Rent, to rent. I'd rather drink tea, coffee. 2. Than. 'Than. I prefer trains, cars. 2. Than. 2. My wife would like to rent a house in Ishmael, but I would rather in Akbuk. Camp, to camp. Mrs. Brown would prefer in a hotel. Stay to stay. I would rather a teacher. Become to become. If I had a choice, I think I'd rather live in Marmaris, Bodrum. 2. Than. Than. They would rather football all day instead of studying. Play to play. I'm not a big fan of cars. I prefer by train. Travel, travelling. Would you rather pizza or lamagin? Eat, to eat. I have the meeting at 6 p.m. Would rather, prefer. Would rather. My son would prefer a movie. Watch, to watch. I would rather a dress than jeans. Wear, to wear. Usually people warm weather. Would rather, prefer. Prefer. He'd like to go to Istanbul, whereas his wife would prefer to Marmaris. To go, going. I would prefer not a computer programmer. Become, to become. I would rather this pizza because I prefer the taste. Buy, to buy. I would rather not a house in Didim. Rent, to rent. Why do you going out with Tom? Would rather, prefer. Prefer. She eat a salad than a hamburger. Would rather, prefer. Would rather. They, dogs, they don't like cats. Would rather, prefer. Prefer. I stay home today. Would rather, prefer. Would rather. We watching basketball. Would rather, prefer. Prefer. I buy the blue shirt. Would rather, prefer, would rather, we going to the beach, would rather, prefer, prefer, I watch the football game, would rather, prefer. Would rather.
This is Nurcan Akaltun's work.